Good morning and welcome to You Can Cook Anything with Bob and JP. I'm Bob. So we're going to a Memorial Day party today, and my wife asked me if I'd make Char Siu. Char Siu is Chinese barbecue pork. You've probably had it in your pork fried rice or seen it hanging in Chinatown windows, beautifully dripping with glaze. The fact of the matter is most people haven't had a good Char Siu. Those of you living in big metropolitan areas with a Chinatown would have, but when you order fried rice or pork strips from your local Chinese place, they're not really putting the time and love into it. They're just spreading a glaze on it that has a lot of food coloring in it to give it that red ring. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a recipe that I learned from Strictly Dumpling. It's a channel by Mikey Chen. I'll put a link below. That he has a recipe that he took from someone that takes a long time to make. And a few months ago, I decided I can make that faster and better. Faster, maybe better. Needless to say, I wanted to put this together so you could have delicious Char Siu in about an hour from the time you start it. Make sure you stay to the end. I've appended some tips and tricks there. So if you go on to like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below for us to read. We love your comments. Make sure if you haven't already, you take a minute to subscribe and click the little bell notification icon so you know when we have a new video coming out. So stick around as I make Char Siu. Okay, let's go over the ingredients, the hardware and the software. So you'll need a bowl big enough to put the pork in. You'll also need pork. I'm using a little over 5 pounds. I recommend not using less than 5 pounds for this recipe because even if you can't eat 5 pounds, you will want to freeze it after you see how good this is so you can thaw it and use it later. So we need 3 teaspoons of kosher salt or 2 teaspoons of iodized salt, a full teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice. You should be able to find this at any market anywhere. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of sugar. This is the one thing you may have trouble finding. This is fermented tofu, red fermented tofu. You can buy it on Amazon. The price is ridiculous. You can find it at any Chinese market, but if you're really stuck, Amazon is definitely a place you can get it and get it fast, but you'll end up paying 2-3 times as much as you can get at the market for. Figure it's about $5. We're going to want, because this is the rapid fire recipe and not the take forever, spend 2 nights fermenting, you're going to take this entire bottle of red liquid plus 2 pieces of the tofu. We're going to need 8 cloves of garlic. I already put them in the bowl to make it easier. 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce. 2 tablespoons of Chinese cooking wine. So this is Zhaojing cooking wine. This is the one you want. You see it's darker in color. This is Chinese rice cooking wine. You don't want to use this for this recipe, but this is my everyday cooking wine now. It's perfect for cooking everything. So we want 2 teaspoons of that. Wait. 2 tablespoons of that. We want 4 tablespoons of dark soy sauce. 2 teaspoons of paprika. I'm using smoked because I like it. We ran out of sesame oil, but as we've always said on this channel, sometimes you have to substitute. I'm going to substitute a non-flavored oil. I don't want olive oil or something else because I don't want to introduce those flavors. So neutral flavored oil. I will get the sesame flavoring most likely by adding some sesame seeds. Molasses, 4 tablespoons. 4 tablespoons of warm water, which this is now cold. And 2 tablespoons of honey. Essentially, we're going to take those and throw them in the bowl, mix it up, and be right back.
A few moments later.
So I'm going to give this a mix and make sure everything is married together really well. Just a happy little bowl. Just a happy little bowl of Chinese seasonings. I think it'd have been really dope if Bob Ross had done a cooking show. Could you imagine how cool that would have been? Make sure you mash up that tofu. And you can hear the sugar grinding on the bottom. So keep working it till that's gone. And if you needed to add a little more warm water to make that melt, don't worry about it. It's fine. You can do that. The water just cooks off anyway. All right. Let's save about 1/3 cup of this. So we're going to save that off. I'm going to put everything away. I'm going to show you how to slice the meat, and then we're going to marinate. So did you turn your oven on? 500 degrees. Get it warmed up. Make sure you have a rack at the very top. That is really important. Make sure the rack is on the top. If it's on the bottom near your burner element or your burner, it is going to scald the pork long before it's done. 500 degrees, something in the top rack. Then you want a cookie sheet covered in aluminum foil, and then put a rack on top of it. You need the rack, you need that space, so don't just think you can put it right down. You have to get a rack. I highly recommend getting the cheapest throwaway racks you can find, because they're nearly impossible to ever look silver again. So get yourself some cheap racks. Now we're going to cut the meat. So this is actually really good looking pork butt. The most important part of char siu is having fat. So don't go trimming off the fat. I mean, that's the key to good tasting char siu. Leave that on there. If you really feel like you have to, you can take a thin piece off the top. I don't think I have to, but I'm going to take off just a little right here. Now I'm actually taking that off so I can use it later for other things, because a little pork fat laying around for other cooking is good. So here's what you're looking for. About 2 inches. Go straight through it. All right, there we go. So, by the way, I was asked why I wear gloves. When you are your own cameraman, it's a heck of a lot easier to just wear gloves, do the job, take the gloves off, operate the camera. So what you want to do is put this in here and kind of just get it all over it. Okay, that's it. Just move them around till they're all completely covered like that. All right, so first add a cup of water to the pan, then put your pieces of pork on the pan. The important thing is to leave a little space in between so that airflow can get through there. If you have a convection oven, you want to use the convection function. Keep in mind, these are going to shrink, so don't worry, they're going to get smaller. We're going to go into a 500-degree oven for 25 minutes. Then we're going to pull them out. We're going to baste them, flip them, and go in again 450 for another 25 minutes.
20 minutes later.
All right, so there's our first look as it comes out of the oven. Actually, hold on. So don't forget, turn your oven down to 450. Then we're going to take this and we're going to baste it. Remember, you have to do this side before you flip it. Get in all those little holes and crannies and nooks and stuff. All right, back in the oven. 25 minutes, 450, and then we'll glaze.
20 minutes later.
So there it is, and we're going to finish it off with the basting. New brush. Got to do this right away while it's hot. We want a nice glaze, and we want the glaze to take. If there's any fat on top of the meat, don't push it off first. Let this kind of join in with it. And they'll mix together. So as delicious as this smells, you can't cut it yet. You need to give it time to rest, or else you're going to ruin it. All right, no such thing as too much glaze. That's important because we cut out the overnight. So we're going to let this sit for at least 15 minutes. It's important that you cut it right. So I'm actually looking for slightly smaller pieces, and you should too. So cut them in half the long way, then cut them in half this way. Cut little half inch to 1/4 inch thick pieces. Cut them as thick as you want. Hell, you could eat it like a pork steak. All right. That's it. So you're gonna cut this, put them in a bowl, but I think we should taste them and let you know what we think. Okay, time to taste. You taste first.
I will. It's Char Siu-licious.
I swear to God, that's the only reason you wanted to do this. Oh, you heard it here. I doubt that term's ever used, so coined right here by my beautiful wife.
It really is. It's tender, amazing taste. It's one of our favorite go-to dishes.
Yeah, I guarantee you've never had that in your fried rice. Now is when you're done, there's gonna be a sauce in the bottom of the pan. Mix it up as good as you can. Scrape off the pieces that'll come off. And then separate it from the oil, which is easy. Just take a spoonful of the glaze because it's so dense, the oil will run off. Put it over the cut char siu and then mix it. Mind-blowing. Don't forget what JP and I always say. It did come out super good this time.
It really did.
Like better than normal.